What if I told you that some of the most important truths in life are the ones we've been avoiding for years? Deep down, you've probably felt them, maybe even whispered them to yourself in quiet moments. But then you look away. You distract yourself. You convince yourself that you'll deal with them later. The problem is, later isn't guaranteed. We live as if time is an endless resource, as if tomorrow will always be waiting for us. But here's the unshakable truth. Every single day that passes is gone forever. You don't get to rewind it. You don't get to relive it. And one day you'll wake up and realize that the someday you've been waiting for never came. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They didn't just talk about philosophy as abstract ideas. They used it as a daily guide for how to live, how to think, and how to face reality without flinching. And what I'm about to share with you is drawn straight from that wisdom. These are not sugar-coated self-help slogans. They are 9 truths, raw, unfiltered, that will challenge you, maybe even make you uncomfortable. But that's the point, because comfort has never been the birthplace of growth. Over the years, I've learned each of these truths not from books alone, but from my own mistakes, from loss, from moments when life didn't give me a choice but to face them head on. And I can tell you this, the earlier you confront them, the more of your life you'll actually get to live. Wait too long and you may never get the chance. So before we begin, let me ask you, when was the last time you stopped everything, truly stopped, and asked yourself, am I really living or am I just existing? Have I been chasing the wrong things? Have I been putting off what matters most, thinking I'll get to it someday? We all like to believe we have more time. But Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, offered a sobering reminder. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Because life will not pause and wait for you to feel ready. It won't hold still while you figure things out. It will move forward with or without you. And every moment you spend avoiding these truths is a moment you'll never get back. In the next few minutes, we're going to confront 9 realities about life that most people spend their whole lives running from. You'll recognize them the moment you hear them, because they've been sitting quietly in the background of your mind for years. You'll feel them not as theories, but as echoes of your own experiences. Some may be hard to accept. Some may go against what the world tells you is important. And that's exactly why they matter. These 9 truths are rooted in the Stoic belief that while we can't control the world, we can control ourselves. We can choose how to respond to hardship, how to spend our time, how to align our actions with what truly matters. They'll challenge you to reevaluate what you value, to stop wasting precious days on things that don't last, and to start living with intention. I'm not here to give you an easy list of tips that you'll forget tomorrow. I'm here to hand you a mirror so you can see where you've been lying to yourself. The question is, will you look into it or will you turn away again? If you stay with me, if you lean in instead of retreating, you might just find that these truths are not here to take something from you. They're here to give you your life back. But you have to be willing to face them now, not tomorrow, not next year, now. So take a deep breath, clear your distractions. This is your moment to pause and pay attention. These next few minutes could be the most important investment you make in yourself all year. And when we're done, you'll have a choice to keep living on autopilot or to take back control one decision at a time. Let's begin. Number 1, we fear death but accept a meaningless life. We spend our lives terrified of death, of that final moment when the lights go out and there's no coming back. We avoid thinking about it. We push it to the farthest corner of our minds, as if ignoring it will somehow keep it from happening. But here's the strange thing. While we're so afraid of dying, we have no problem wasting years of our lives not truly living. It's a paradox. We dread the end, yet we treat our days as if they are infinite. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It's not death that a man should fear, but rather he should fear never beginning to live." Think about that for a moment. The real tragedy is not that life ends, it's that so many people never actually start living it. Let me tell you about Michael. For 35 years, he worked tirelessly at the same company. He was responsible, reliable, always telling himself, "I'll travel after I retire. I'll spend more time with family when things settle down. I'll chase my dreams when the timing is right." His life became a series of postponed moments. But when the day finally came, when he closed his office door for the last time, he realized the truth. His health was failing. His closest friends had moved away. His parents had passed, and the energy he once had was gone. He had saved all his living for someday, but someday never came. And here's the uncomfortable question. Question. How different is Michael's story from yours? How many things have you been putting off until the right time? How many dreams have you filed away for later, assuming you'll have the energy, health, and courage when you finally get around to them? The Stoics saw life not as a guarantee, but as a loan that could be called in at any moment. They believed the real fear shouldn't be death itself, but the regret of a life unlived. Yet most of us live like we've been handed an unlimited balance of days. We wake up, go through the motions, distract ourselves with routines, and tell ourselves we'll start living when things get easier, when the kids grow up, when the bills are paid, when work slows down. But here's the truth. Those perfect conditions you're waiting for, they never arrive. Life doesn't wait for you to be ready. If anything, it gets messier. More responsibilities, more distractions, more reasons to say, "not now." And before you know it, the days you thought you had are gone. So what's the alternative? You live now, not recklessly, but deliberately. You stop saving your joy for a future version of yourself that may never exist. You book the trip before you think you can afford it. You tell people you love them today, not when things calm down. You make space for what matters, even if it's inconvenient. When you start living this way, you'll notice something powerful. Your fear of death begins to fade. Why? Because you're no longer leaving life on the table. You're not hoarding your days like coins you'll never spend. You're using them fully, intentionally, so that when the end does come, it doesn't feel like a theft. Think of it like this. Death is not the enemy. An unlived life is. The clock is ticking whether you look at it or not. So you have a choice. You can let time slip through your fingers while you wait for perfect circumstances, or you can decide right now to live in such a way that death finds you empty-handed with nothing left undone. Ask yourself, if you knew you had only a year left, what would you do differently? And the harder question, why aren't you doing it now? Because the truth is, life will not slow down for you. It will not tap you on the shoulder and say, now is the time. You have to choose it. You have to take it. And you have to do it before the chance is gone. So, will you too? We resist change even though it's inevitable. Change is the one constant we can count on in life, and yet it's the thing we fight the hardest. We know deep down that nothing stays the same. Youth fades, relationships shift, circumstances evolve, and still we cling to what feels familiar, even when that familiarity is slowly draining the life out of us. Marcus Aurelius captured this truth perfectly. All that happens is as habitual and familiar as roses in spring and fruit in the summer. He understood that change is not the exception to life. It is its very rhythm. The seasons turn, people grow, and the world moves forward whether we're ready or not. Let me tell you about Emily. She'd been working at the same job for over a decade. At first, it was exciting, new challenges, new colleagues, a sense of purpose. But over the years, the excitement faded, replaced by exhaustion and quiet resentment. Every morning she would stare at her computer screen, feeling a little more trapped. Friends told her to look for something new, but Emily would always shake her head. "It's too risky," she'd say. "What if it doesn't work out?" And so day after day, she stayed exactly where she was, comfortable in the misery she knew, terrified of the uncertainty she didn't. And here's the thing, Emily isn't unusual. In fact, she's like most of us. We hold on to the familiar, not because it's good for us, but because it's known. A toxic relationship, a dead-end job, a routine that no longer serves us. They may be slowly suffocating our spirit, but at least we know what to expect. The unknown feels scarier, so we choose the prison we recognize over the freedom we can't predict. But here's the problem with resisting change. It doesn't stop change from happening. It only ensures that when it comes, we're unprepared. Life will move us forward whether we want it to or not, and if we've spent years digging in our heels, we'll experience that shift as loss instead of growth. Think about how much suffering could be avoided if, instead of clinging to what's slipping away, we learn to release it with grace. If we saw endings not as tragedies, but as openings for something new. Change is not here to destroy you, it's here to shape you. It's here to strip away what no longer fits so that you can grow into the person you're meant to become. I've learned that one of the most powerful skills you can develop is adaptability. That doesn't mean you have to welcome every upheaval with a smile. It means you train yourself to see change as part of life's design. You stop asking, "How can I keep everything the same?" and start asking, "How can I use this to grow?" Because when you do, change stops feeling like a threat and starts feeling like an opportunity. Imagine standing at the edge of a river. You can try to dam it up, to keep the water still, but eventually the pressure will break through and the flood will be far more destructive than the flow. Or you can step into the current, learn to move with it, and let it carry you to places you could never reach by standing still. So ask yourself, what are you holding on to right now simply because it's familiar? What would happen if you loosened your grip, if you allowed yourself to trust that life is not trying to take something from you, but to give you something better? The truth is, you don't need to be fearless to embrace change. You just need to be willing. And once you take that first step, you'll discover that the unknown isn't as terrifying as it seems. In fact, it might just be the very place where your best life begins. 3. We avoid silence and fear facing ourselves. Silence. For many people, that single word is uncomfortable. We live in a world that runs on constant noise. Traffic, chatter, music, notifications, endless streams of content. The moment we wake up, we're greeted by the buzz of our phones, the hum of daily tasks, and the chatter of everyone else's lives. We're rarely alone with our own thoughts. And truthfully, many of us prefer it that way. Because when the noise stops, something unsettling happens. We're left with ourselves. All the emotions we've been avoiding, the questions we've been pushing aside, the fears we've refused to face, they all rise to the surface. Silence removes the distractions we've built like walls around our minds, and it forces us to confront what's on the other side. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You can get away from it anytime you like by going within." But going within requires courage. And for many, it's easier to stay busy than to sit still. Take David, for example. Every day after work, he would walk into his apartment and immediately turn on the TV, whether he was watching it or not. He scrolled through his phone while music played in the background. On weekends, he filled his schedule with outings and social events. Not because he always wanted to, but because he couldn't stand the idea of an evening in complete quiet. Deep down, he knew that if he turned everything off, he would have to face the restlessness, the loneliness, and the unanswered questions that had been following him for years. David's story is common. In fact, researchers once conducted an experiment where participants were asked to sit in a quiet room for just 15 minutes, with no phone, no conversation, no distractions. The result? Most found it unbearable. Some even chose to give themselves mild electric shocks rather than be alone with their thoughts. That's how far we go to avoid silence. But here's the truth. Silence isn't empty, it's full of insights, realizations, and clarity that can emerge when your mind is drowned in noise. Think about the great thinkers of history. Leonardo da Vinci, who spent hours quietly observing the world around him, or Marcus Aurelius himself, who wrote his meditations not for anyone else, but as a private dialogue with his own mind. Their wisdom didn't come from constant distraction, it came from stillness. So how do we reclaim silence in a world that's allergic to it? Start small. Set aside 10 minutes a day with no devices, no background music, no multitasking. Sit, breathe, and watch what your mind brings up. Write down what you notice. You might feel restless at first. That's normal. It's your mind adjusting to being heard. Over time, you'll begin to see silence differently. You'll realize it's not a void to be filled, but a space where you can meet yourself without the masks you wear in public. In that space, you can confront what's been weighing on you, acknowledge it, and begin to let it go. Silence isn't about escaping the world, it's about returning to yourself. And in that return, you may discover that what you were running from wasn't as frightening as you imagined. It was simply you, waiting to be heard. 4. We try to control what's beyond our reach. One of the greatest sources of our suffering is this. We want everything to go the way we imagine. We want life, people, and circumstances to bend to our will, to follow our plan. And when they don't, we feel frustrated, angry, even defeated. But the Stoics understood something we often forget, that much of life is simply not ours to control. Epictetus said it clearly. Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within your control and some things are not. Think about how much of your energy is spent trying to control the uncontrollable. We plan every detail only for life to throw in variables we never saw coming. We pour ourselves into relationships, hoping our love will be enough to make them last. But people are free to choose their own path. We work tirelessly at our jobs, but the economy shifts, a company restructures, or someone else gets the promotion. Laura's story is a perfect example. She spent 2 years developing a product she believed in with her whole heart. She sacrificed weekends, skipped vacations, and poured her savings into making it perfect. When launch day finally came, an unexpected market crash wiped out demand almost overnight. Sales plummeted, and within months, her dream was over. She blamed herself. She replayed every decision, wondering if she'd missed something. But the truth was, she couldn't control the market. No one could. And yet, that's what so many of us do. We punish ourselves for outcomes that were never ours to command. We cling to the illusion that if we work harder, think smarter, or care more, we can shape reality exactly how we want it. But life is like the ocean. You can navigate it, you can learn to read the waves, but you will never stop the tide from coming in. The question is, what would happen if you stopped trying to command the tide and focused instead on learning to swim? That's the Stoic way, to separate the things within your control from the things that are not. You can't control the weather, but you can control how you prepare for the storm. You can't control someone's opinion of you, but you can control how you live so that your own conscience is clear. You can't control whether people treat you fairly, but you can control whether you act with integrity regardless of their behavior. The moment you truly accept this, something incredible happens. Your frustration begins to fade. You stop wasting energy on battles you can't win, and you redirect that energy toward actions that actually matter. This is not about giving up. It's about letting go of the impossible so you can fully commit to what's possible. Think of it this way, your mind is like a garden. If you spend all your time trying to pull weeds from your neighbor's yard, your own garden will wither. But if you tend to the soil you can reach, if you water the plants within your fence, your life will begin to bloom, regardless of what happens outside your walls. So ask yourself right now, what am I trying to control that I cannot? And what could I achieve if I focused instead on what I can? You'll find that when you let go of what's beyond your reach, you gain something far more valuable: peace. Because peace isn't found in controlling the world, it's found in mastering yourself. And that is the one thing you've had the power to do all along. 5. We misjudge what truly matters. In the rush of modern life, it's easy to convince ourselves that we know what's important. We wake up each day and throw ourselves into the pursuit of money, recognition, and the kind of success that looks good on paper. We measure our worth against the standards set by society, how much we earn, the size of our house, the title on our business card. And yet, in chasing these things, we often overlook the quiet truth that none of them can guarantee happiness. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Think about that. The problem isn't that we're running out of time. It's that we spend so much of it on the wrong things. We let the world decide our priorities, and then we wonder why our lives feel empty. Take Daniel, for example. He worked hard, earned well, and was respected in his field. But he was always looking over his shoulder, comparing himself to colleagues who seemed wealthier, more accomplished, more admired. To keep up, he took on more projects, traveled constantly for work, and said yes to every opportunity that might raise his profile. On paper, he was winning. But in reality, he was missing bedtime stories with his kids, skipping family dinners, and letting years of irreplaceable moments slip away. By the time he realized how much he lost, those moments were gone forever. Daniel's story isn't rare. It's the default path for many of us. We chase illusions without stopping to ask why. We assume that more money will mean more peace, more recognition will mean more self-worth, and more achievements will mean more joy. But if that were true, the wealthiest and most famous among us would be the happiest people on earth, and they aren't. Here's the hard truth. Much of what we chase is a distraction. We scroll through social media, comparing our behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. We take on commitments we don't care about just to impress people who may not even notice. We trade our time, energy, and peace for the approval of strangers. So what truly matters? It's the little things we so often take for granted. It's the afternoon walk with someone you love. It's the honest conversation with a friend that leaves you feeling lighter. It's the laughter at the dinner table, the quiet moments of contentment when you realize you have enough. These things don't demand that you prove yourself. They simply remind you of who you are. If you stripped away the titles, the possessions, and the applause, what would be left? Would you still feel whole? Would the people who matter still know you? That's the real measure of a life well lived. When you start to focus on what's real, something shifts. The noise of comparison fades. The urgency to prove yourself to the world weakens. And in its place, you begin to notice the richness that was always there. Moments of connection, gratitude, and purpose that no paycheck or award can replace. The Stoic path calls us to see beyond the illusions and anchor ourselves to what endures. To stop selling our lives for a price that isn't worth it. Because in the end, you can't take wealth, fame, or status with you, but you can leave behind a legacy of love, kindness, and presence. So ask yourself today, am I spending my life on what matters? Or am I trading it away for things that will fade? The answer might be uncomfortable, but facing it now could be the decision that changes everything. Because once you know what truly matters, you'll never want to waste another second on what doesn't. We procrastinate and miss out on life. There's a dangerous phrase that quietly steals years from our lives. I'll start tomorrow. We say it when we want to pick up a new skill, when we think about getting in shape, when we dream about making a change. We promise ourselves that once things settle down, once work is less stressful, once the kids are older, once we have more money or more time, we'll finally begin. But tomorrow stretches into weeks, weeks into months, and before we know it, years have slipped away. Marcus Aurelius offered a sobering reminder. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Seneca echoed the same truth. While we wait for life, life passes. The problem isn't that we don't want to live fully. It's that we believe we'll have endless opportunities to do so. We act as if time is abundant, forgetting that it is the most fragile and irreplaceable thing we have. Take Jennifer, for example. She had always dreamed of learning to play the piano. Every time she heard a beautiful piece of music, she felt that deep ache of longing, telling herself she'd start lessons when she had more time. But life kept happening, work deadlines, family responsibilities, unexpected events. 10 years later, she still hadn't touched a piano. The dream never left her, but the time to pursue it kept slipping further away. And here's the truth. Jennifer's story isn't unusual. It's the way most of us live. We put off living because we're waiting for the perfect moment. But that moment doesn't exist. Life will never be perfectly aligned for you to start. If you wait until you're completely ready, you'll be waiting forever. Sometimes the real reason we delay isn't time, it's fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear that we're not good enough. But no one starts perfectly. The people you admire didn't wait until they had every skill, every resource, or every ounce of confidence. They began while they were still uncertain, and they learned along the way. Perfection is a trap. It whispers that you need to wait until everything is just right before you act. But perfection never arrives. It's an illusion that keeps you stuck in place. Meanwhile, the life you want is passing by. Think about it. If you could look back from your final days, what would hurt more? failing at something you dared to try or never trying at all. We often tell ourselves there will be time later, but later is not guaranteed. The only time you truly own is right now. The Stoics believed in living with urgency, not in a frantic, desperate way, but with the awareness that each day is a gift that may not come again. They knew that the future is uncertain and that the present is the only moment we can act upon. So if you've been waiting for a sign to start, this is it. Write the first page of your book. Take the first lesson. Make the phone call. Begin the journey, however imperfectly. You'll never be fully ready, but readiness isn't the requirement. Action is, because at the end of your life, it won't matter how long you waited for the right time. What will matter is whether you use the time you had. The perfect moment is not someday, it's now. And every day you delay is a day you'll never get back. 7. We get stuck in the past and can't let go. The past has a strange way of holding us hostage. We replay old mistakes, dwell on lost opportunities, and relive moments of pain as if somehow, by revisiting them often enough, we could change the outcome. But the truth is the past is gone. It can't be undone, and yet many of us allow it to chain us in place, keeping us from living the life that's right in front of us. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Each of us lives only now, this brief instant. The present is all we truly have, but when our minds are stuck in what's already gone, we're not really living in it. We're existing in a shadow world, one that no longer exists, while time continues to move on without us." Robert's story is a painful example of this. Years ago, he made a decision in his career that turned out badly. It cost him a major opportunity, and the regret was crushing. Instead of moving forward, Robert replayed the decision in his head every day for years. He told himself he wasn't worthy of success, that he didn't deserve another chance. And because he believed that, he missed out on opportunities that could have changed his life. The failure didn't keep him stuck. His refusal to let it go did. Epictetus offered a powerful reminder. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. The same is true of the past. If it still has the power to hurt you, it's because you've given it that power. The past itself is not reaching out to punish you. You are doing it to yourself. Letting go doesn't mean erasing the memory or pretending it didn't matter. It means acknowledging that it happened, learning from it, and then refusing to let it dictate how you live today. Every minute you spend trapped in yesterday is a minute stolen from today's possibilities. Ask yourself, what are you holding on to right now that no longer serves you? Is it anger at someone who's long gone from your life? Is it guilt over something you can't change? Is it grief for a version of your life that no longer exists? These feelings are real, but they don't have to be permanent prisons. Life is like driving a car. You can glance in the rearview mirror to learn from what's behind you. But if you stare at it for too long, you'll crash into what's ahead. You can't steer your future if your eyes are locked on the past. The Stoics understood that true freedom comes from mastering your own mind. And part of that mastery is knowing when to release the weight you've been carrying. Imagine walking into the future with both hands full of old burdens. You won't have the space to hold anything new. So start by loosening your grip. Accept that what's done is done. Let the past rest where it belongs. You don't have to forget it, but you can choose not to feed it with your energy and attention. The present moment is waiting for you, but it won't wait forever. You have a choice. Remain a prisoner of the past, or step into the freedom of now. And when you choose the present, you'll find that life opens up in ways you couldn't have imagined, because you finally made room for it to happen. 8. We chase the approval of others. From the time we're young, we're taught, directly or indirectly, that other people's approval is a kind of currency. We're rewarded for fitting in, for saying the right things, for making choices that others nod along to. Somewhere along the way, many of us start shaping our lives to please everyone else, forgetting that the cost of this constant approval seeking is often losing ourselves. Epictetus offered a hard truth. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In other words, if you want to grow, you must be willing to let others misunderstand you, even judge you, without letting it derail your path. Amanda's life is a perfect example. She had a passion for art. She could spend hours sketching, painting, and creating. But when it came time to choose a career, her parents insisted she pursue something practical, something that would earn respect and provide stability. So, she studied law. For the next decade, she followed a path that looked admirable from the outside but felt hollow on the inside. She became skilled at a profession she didn't love, collecting achievements that didn't bring her joy. One day she looked around and realized she wasn't living her own life. She was living the life her parents had chosen for her. And Amanda's story isn't unique. Many of us have stayed in jobs we hated, relationships that drained us, or lifestyles that didn't fit simply because we feared disappointing someone else. We convince ourselves that if others approve of us, we'll finally feel secure. But here's the trap. Approval is fleeting. It changes with moods, trends, and shifting expectations. Basing your life on it is like trying to build a house on sand. So why do we do it? Partly because rejection stings. We're wired to want belonging. But there's a difference between belonging and bending yourself out of shape to be accepted. True belonging happens when you can stand as you are, values intact, and still find your place. When you live for other people's approval, you hand them the power to define your worth. And that's dangerous because their definition will never perfectly match who you truly are. The more you chase it, the further you drift from your own values, passions, and identity. You start to lose touch with the inner voice that once guided you. The Stoics would remind us that the only approval that truly matters is your own, earned by living in alignment with your principles. That doesn't mean being reckless or ignoring the impact of your actions on others. It means choosing a path you can respect when you look in the mirror, even if others don't understand it. Ask yourself, if no one ever clapped for me, would I still want this? If the answer is no, then maybe you're not pursuing it for yourself at all. Life is too short to spend it chasing applause that dies out the moment you walk away. The truth is, when you stop living for other people's expectations, some will distance themselves. They'll question your choices. They may even label you as stubborn, foolish, or ungrateful. But the ones who truly care about you will eventually respect your authenticity, even if they don't agree with you. And more importantly, you will respect yourself. So let go of the need for universal approval. It's an illusion you can never fully capture. Instead, build a life rooted in your own values. That way, whether the crowd is cheering or silent, you can stand firm, knowing you're living a life that's truly yours. 9. We waste energy on meaningless conflicts. In the grand scheme of life, it's surprising how often we let the smallest things steal our peace. A passing insult, a careless comment, a disagreement that, if we were honest, doesn't matter at all. Yet, we can spend hours, sometimes days, turning it over in our minds, replaying it, and letting it drain our energy. The Stoics understood how destructive this habit can be. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Think about that. The best response to provocation isn't to fight back. It's to refuse to become what you dislike. Thomas learned this lesson the hard way. One morning he posted something online that was important to him, only to receive a single negative comment from a stranger. It wasn't thoughtful criticism, it was just mean. But instead of brushing it off, Thomas fixated on it. He thought about what he should say in response. He drafted and deleted angry replies. He kept checking to see if the person responded. By the end of the day, he had wasted hours that could have been spent working on his goals, connecting with people who valued him, or simply enjoying his life. That stranger's words cost him an entire day, not because of their power, but because he gave them power. How many times have you done the same? How many times have you carried someone else's negativity like a stone in your pocket, letting it weigh you down? The truth is, life will always offer you opportunities to get pulled into meaningless battles. Social media, office gossip, petty rivalries, neighbors who nitpick, drivers who cut you off. You can spend your life reacting to every spark, or you can decide which fires are worth fueling. When you engage in every conflict, you scatter your focus. You waste the energy that could be used for the things that actually matter. Your work, your relationships, your growth, your peace. The Stoics believe that self-control is a sign of strength, and that part of self-control is the ability to walk away from fights that lead nowhere. I've learned that one of the most freeing questions you can ask yourself in these moments is, will this matter in a year? If the answer is no, then it doesn't deserve your energy now. Not every insult needs an answer. Not every opinion needs to be corrected. Not every battle needs a soldier. This isn't about being passive or avoiding conflict at all costs. There are battles worth fighting when your values are at stake, when someone's safety is threatened, when silence would cause real harm. But those moments are rare compared to the daily provocations that demand nothing but your ego's attention. Your time and energy are finite. Every ounce you spend on the meaningless leaves less for the meaningful. And the more you practice letting go of the small stuff, the more you'll find that your mind feels lighter, your focus sharper, and your days more productive. So the next time you feel the urge to jump into a pointless argument or let a small slight ruin your mood, remember this: your energy is precious. Protect it, spend it on what matters, and leave the rest behind. In doing so, you'll not only rise above the noise, you'll live with a kind of strength and dignity that no petty conflict can touch. These 9 truths were never meant to discourage you. They were meant to wake you up, to strip away the illusions that keep you distracted so you can finally see your life for what it is and for what it could be. Because the reality is, time will not wait for you to be ready. Every moment that passes is a moment gone forever. You cannot store it, you cannot reclaim it, and you cannot bargain for more. The Stoics knew this. They lived with a deep awareness of life's brevity, not to make themselves anxious, but to make themselves intentional. They understood that the key to a good life isn't controlling the world, master yourself. It's choosing to live with purpose, to focus on what truly matters, and to release the things that will never be yours to command. That's why these truths matter. They are reminders that your life is happening right now, not after the promotion, not after the kids grow up, not after the perfect moment arrives. Right now, in this second, you have the choice to act differently, to speak with more kindness, to pursue what sets your soul on fire, to walk away from what drains your energy, to let go of the grudges, fears, and expectations that are keeping you from living freely. The choice is and always will be yours. You can keep going as you are, repeating the same patterns, watching the months and years slip by in a blur. Or you can decide that today in the day you take your life back. Not next week, not next year, today. Because the truth is, your life will not change until you do. And when you do, you'll discover something powerful. You don't have to control everything to feel at peace. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy. You don't need the approval of everyone to live a life you're proud of. You simply need to live in alignment with your values, to make choices that honor who you are and who you want to become. So I'll leave you with this. What will you do with the time you have left? Will you keep waiting for the right moment, or will you start creating it? Will you let the noise of the world dictate your actions, or will you choose to live on your own terms? If these words have struck something inside you, don't let that spark fade. Take one action today, just one, that moves you toward the life you want. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it, not because it will change them instantly, but because you never know when a single reminder can shift the course of a life. This isn't the end, it's the starting line. Your starting line. And every step you take from here is a step towards strength, wisdom, and peace. The only question is, will you take it?